Eastern spirituality, particularly the Zen philosophy of Japan, the Tao philosophy of China, and of course, the Vedanta philosophy of India, teaches us some basic essentials about how to utilize our minds better, how to think better. Now, the first thing is that the mind is good when it works within a certain structure, but for it to really work at its optimal, for it to work with complete energy, a little unstructure is also required. In other words, freedom of the mind is very important. Now, this is something fundamental. It's a balance between structure and freedom. Without structure, without discipline, the mind is not able to focus. It keeps jumping from one thing to the other. It's like Krishna tells Arjun in the Bhagavad Gita. The great epic of India, the Mahabharata, contains the words of Lord Krishna to the warrior Arjun. And the Lord tells his disciple that the mind is like the wind. It just moves from one thing to the other, from one place to the other. But the key is balance between restraint or concentration of the mind, the structuring it, focusing it, and allowing it free rein, freedom. So an Albert Einstein is very disciplined in his thinking, very focused in his thinking, but at the same time his mind has the ability to be very free. So Einstein's thought experiments lead him on to a way of thinking which nobody had done before him. So this balance between structure and freedom is very important. And particularly in Taoism in China, the same thing. In Zen, the same thing in Japan. So in Zen, there is a certain discipline, but at the same time, there's a certain inner freedom of being. Now, the second thing required for us to think better is that the mind should not be on any kind of ego trip. Ego restrains the mind's abilities, really. So the mind should be oriented around peace and not on achieving something which inflates the ego. Because then we remain trapped by our ego and nothing new comes out. So the best workers, the best innovators are people who are not egoistic, who allow, with a certain humility in their heart, they allow the greater to work through them. Because they are humble, they are not obsessed by themselves, their thinking becomes very powerful. Their thinking is not around violence or ego or domination, but it's a peaceful process which is free of ego. And this very peaceful process brings the mind, unfolds the lotus of the mind to its full intelligence. And that's the way the sages, the great people of the past, have been shown to be. So in India, even an emperor, the greatest emperor of India, Chandragupta Maurya, his mind is supposed to have been like that. At the same time, a Buddha's mind is supposed to have been like that. So sages, the best warriors are like that. So even the samurai of Japan, their thinking is not to be ego-led, that I am better than the other person. It is not being led by ego, it achieves its maximum potential, and victory becomes that person's whose mind is not dominated and whose thoughts are not dominated by ego. And the third thing is to recognize that the mind is limitless. The mind is infinite. Most of us live with a belief that our mind is very limited. And this very belief destroys the ability of ourselves to go deeper and higher and achieve more in life. So this sense of infinity, this sense that we are greater than we think we are, is very important. It is not egoistic. It's just a question of relaxing with the infinity of the universe. Then what happens? The mind opens up. It doesn't remain tense. It acquires a certain self-confidence. and a certain joy happens, a certain feeling of ananda or bliss happens within the mind. And it finds its full potentiality. So, the best creators in the world are they who work with a lot of joy, with a lot of bliss in their heart. Somewhere they have the ability, the belief that their minds are limitless. And knowing this limitlessness of the mind takes them beyond ordinary things and makes them achieve the extraordinary through the power of thought.